I'm Larry Brogat, a resident of for 27 years. I viewed the February 12th video titled Good News About Our Schools posted by the administration, and I also read the related Ohio School Board Association Journal article that was co-written by school superintendent and others. I'm here to voice my opposition to the Marxist critical race theory instruction and practices being forced into our school systems. The superintendent has vehemently denied that the JEDI program is teaching these ideologies. However, I, along with a large group of concerned residents, have done our research, consulted other districts, and have seen the doctrines of CRT exposed in institutions around this country. The twisted language of CRT is propagated throughout the JEDI program. The only difference is the slight change of the name and language to disguise it and make it less offensive in order to gain acceptance by parents and the community at large. To claim otherwise is to be intellectually dishonest and intentionally misleading. The superintendent has said it's not being taught to students, when in fact they are being indoctrinated because it is, as stated in the article, infused throughout every layer of education. Equity sounds non-threatening and is easily confused with the principle of equality. Equality, as enshrined in our Declaration of Independence, is explicitly rejected by CRT backers that regard it as cover for white supremacy and oppression. Equity promotes equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. Equity strives to segregate individuals by identity, particularly race, rather than ability, desire, and achievement. Education is becoming a participation trophy, and your JEDI program is creating the opposite effect of what you proclaim. What these ideologies are really creating is a nation of angry, mob justice protesters instead of successful producers. For evidence, look at the nightly looting and violence in major cities like Portland. These ideologues are fond of canceling everything that disagrees with them. Well, for the good of this city and this country, I propose to cancel this JEDI CRT program in Rocky River schools at all levels immediately.
Hi, I'm Ann Robbins, a 40-year Rocky River resident. To be clear, the words diversity and inclusion do not necessarily mean what people think they mean. Everyone would agree diversity and inclusion are valuable and important, but the devil is in the details. If you tell our ninth graders at Rocky River High School that society is made up of two separate groups, a dominant and a subordinate group, and the dominant group controls the subordinate group because of its unearned privilege, you are teaching critical race theory. Furthermore, if you identify the dominant group as the white middle class, you are teaching critical race theory. And I want to stop with the sugar-coated buzzwords. Let's go ahead and call them oppressors and victims. If you teach ninth graders that every person, including themselves, has to be understood in terms of a special social group, you're teaching them to see the world through a lens of group identity, be it race, socioeconomic status, gender, or ethnicity. Groupthink creates conflict. It pits one group of students against another. It's a poisonous worldview. It denies the individual the content of their character and the merit of their work. We are the freest country in the world. Everyone, Blacks, Latinos, women, LGBTQ, all minorities have equal opportunity under the law to achieve their dreams. Why don't we teach that and inspire students to that? Let's teach our students to overcome obstacles. Of course, we want our students to be sensitive and respectful and caring and most of all kind, but surely our excellent Rocky River teachers and staff can foster these virtues without political indoctrination and rhetoric. Do we really need to write a check to the DCNEO for $72,000 to do this for us? And please, I'm ending. Finally, do your research, please. When you hear the words microaggression, unconscious bias, allyship, even social justice, please have a fair and balanced review of what they really mean. There are two sides to these coins, and the devil is in the detail. Please stop teaching the dangerous politics of group identity. The parents and taxpayers of Rocky River see right through it.
Or give informed consent. Each student entrusted to the care of this school system is identified legally as a minor, is unable to provide informed consent, and requires parental or caregiver permission to do many activities. Informed consent requires the recipient to receive research-based risks, benefits, and choices. Rocky River schools have failed to specifically inform you of the gender ideology and sexual constructs in the curriculum currently taught to your children. Uncredentialed instructors are placed in positions to teach your sons and daughters their own definition of gender and sexuality without your consent. They neglected to use scientific data, which clearly shows males and females are distinctively different. Instead, they use manipulation, coercion, and public shaming exercises as a means to indoctrinate our children with their personal belief system. This is unacceptable. I wonder how many board members have sat in on the diversity courses, the actual courses, not a summary. Do you know what is being taught? Parents, be aware, be informed. The diversity instructors have been silencing your parental voice, driving a wedge between you and your child, all in the deceptive name of diversity and inclusion. Your role as an influential presence in your child's life has not been honored or revered. Scientific data is ignored. You are ignored. Do the research. Look at the study from Brown University entitled Parent Reports of Adolescents and Young Adults Perceived to Show Signs of a Rapid Onset of Gender Dysphoria. Read the findings of Abigail Schreier, who holds degrees from Columbia University, Oxford, and Yale Law School. There's a tremendous game of deception going on in our classrooms, and our children are losing their innocence, their ability to trust parents, and the freedom of being a child.
I am Ann Douglas. I am an educator. I'm Dr. Ann Douglas. I teach college chemistry, and more importantly, I am the blessed mother of 5 children in the school district, one of them having graduated. I want to talk today about respect. Our superintendent sits on the board of an organization that he has contracted to teach our students respect and to value all members of our community. I agree that our schools should be a place where all are respected, free from intimidation. I would like our community to know the way the superintendent treated my friends in the Rocky River Citizens for Transparency on the day that they presented our petition to him. At the conclusion of the meeting, when my friend extended her hand to the superintendent, which he could have politely declined because of COVID, but he said, and I quote, "I will not shake your hand. I will not even touch you. There's the door, and down the hall are your cars." This behavior was not respectful, welcoming, valuing, but very intimidating. Certainly not modeling what he says our school is teaching or what his organization supposedly stands for. Members of the board, I know that you just received my friend's letter yesterday, and you will address this issue because you have all seen the pattern with teachers, administrators, on the board, and even with the police. This behavior has created a hostile work environment where so many are afraid to speak out against this administration or what they know to be happening because of a culture of intimidation. It is the job of this board to conduct a thorough performance review yearly of the superintendent, not to be a rubber stamp. Please hold our superintendent accountable for his behavior and protect our brave whistleblowers from intimidation.
As board members, you have a lot to be proud of. Our schools are highly ranked in the state, and the reputation draws strong families to choose our city as their homes. Your leadership has been a big part in keeping and driving excellence displayed in our Rocky River City Schools, and I want to thank you. Today, you will hear and you've heard a few citizens that represent a large group to present a petition against the expansion of the JEDI program conducted with the help of the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio. A majority chose not to give the schools additional monies asked for in the May 4th levy. The message is loud and clear. Residents don't approve of the city, of the children of the city being subject of this program. You try to say it isn't critical race theory or gender ideology and just an anti-bullying program. But please be tolerant of those who disagree with when it's met. The school board can put an end to this controversy by voting to end the contract with the Diversity Center. The school board has a final say on this matter. The Rocky River School District doesn't have to take its marching orders from the Ohio Department of Education's social and emotional learning standards. Please put aside your personal feelings that the schools need to have old classrooms. These issues are personal and private matters. Each parent is responsible for raising their children to be proud Americans with strong characters that treat all people fairly and with respect. Our schools need to focus on the basics, the 3 R's. If you don't have the courage to stand up and vote to end this contract, I ask that you resign and make room for someone that will.
My name is Jody Hobson, and I've lived in Rocky River for 35 years. My 3 children went through the Rocky River school system for all of their 12 years. And I know most of the families in Rocky River would agree that we are all equal in the eyes of God and made in his image. We are one race, one human race. I want to ask the question, why are we teaching our children that they are either victims or oppressors because of the color of their skin? I feel that the policies, training, and initiatives that the DCNEO are teaching are trying to solve a problem that we don't have here in Rocky River. You claim you want input from the community, but you don't seem to want to hear any of the criticism. You see us as obstacles to overcome and to implement to overcome your plans. We trust you. All these years we've trusted you with our children, and now our trust has been broken. And in the article in the OSBA Journal, you referenced community conversations in town halls and coffee chats. I have yet to see any of these, but what we have experienced is great resistance to receiving lesson plans and materials directly related to the Diversity Center. As a taxpayer, stakeholder, and resident, I appreciate your respect and inclusion to join in the conversation.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Broadbent, and I'm here with Protect Ohio Children, which is a part of Ohio Value Voters. I'm here this evening because for every one of these brave parents who's gotten up and spoken this evening, there are dozens of parents of children in the school district and teachers within your district who are uncomfortable getting up and raising their own voices. My phone is ringing off the hook every day. I cover 204 school districts in Ohio. Behind us is Ohio Value Voters. At last check, we have 1,000,007 followers. We're also connected in Columbus, Ohio, and Washington, D.C. We're here to fight, and we're here to stand up for the interests of your community. I'm not from Rocky River. I drove 30 minutes to get here so that I can raise my voice and be the person to draw fire for the people in your community who don't have the wherewithal to step up here and speak for themselves. I took the liberty on the way over here of learning a little bit about Rocky River. This is the Rocky River School District, and I forward the notion that anything outside of this district is off limits. It is not the purview of this district to communicate or act upon any interests other than the 2,702 students of this district. It is the objective and the single job of this school district and the board, superintendent, and employees of this district to serve those students. You have one job, that's it. All of the talk about diversity centers and bringing in conversations about diversity, inclusion, and equity, if that is not a provable, palpable issue within Rocky River schools, it has no place being a part of this discussion. Thank you.
Mark Kane, I'm a Rocky River resident. Trust has eroded. When confronted with the politically charged things being taught in the classes, the administration has denied it vehemently. This board has trusted the administration, or perhaps feared it. We've been lied to. They've been lied to. That's not transparency, it's duplicity. Had we not spoken up, unvetted, unqualified, and unlicensed individuals would have continued working in our schools under contract, decaying trust. Dr. Schoaf's confident assertions that being on the board of the Diversity Center is not a conflict of interest, crumbling trust. 6 teachers gone, some exceptional ones under rather obscure circumstances. It smells more like we didn't like them, not they were a harm to our students. And that teacher who was with our kids for years, he'd probably still be there, but for a Zoom recording. How is it that no one in administration has any culpability on these matters? Where does the buck stop? Is it over there? Maybe back here? No, it should stop right there. Decimated trust. And a levy failure. Those were much easier to pass when the community was unaware. We are no longer unaware. There have been allegations of bullying, retaliation, hostile work environments, and acting with conflicts of interest. Due to the seriousness of these matters and to restore credibility, the administration must take responsibility. The relationship of a community and its school district is sacred. That trust has been betrayed. No matter which side of the political fence you fall, this is not sustainable. Trust will not be reestablished by more desk pounding or condescending platitudes. We are requesting the resignation of the superintendents, Schoaf and Anderson. And Gifford.
Thank you.
My name is Emily Lyman. Rocky River has been my home for nearly 53 years. I've seen lots of changes in that time, but nothing is greater to me or more shocking than to learn that our young people are being corrupted by the Marxist curriculum in our schools. I call it Marxism, communism, because the very people who promote these programs are self-proclaimed Marxist and communists. And they're determined to replace our democratic republic. You, in whom we've put our trust to instruct our children in math, science, and history, are instead indoctrinating our children with radical political ideology and rhetoric adapted from Karl Marx. These programs are aimed at turning our students against their parents. They're being taught to be ashamed of the United States and that it's good to kneel during the national anthem. This works against the students' self-worth and identity by undermining their confidence. They can't speak their mind against such ideas for fear of retribution. Transgenderism and sexuality are not subjects for the classroom or library story hours. And mathematics is not racist, as some have claimed. In continuing this effort by the radical propaganda to dumb down our society in favor of emotional learning, you are helping to extinguish individual freedoms. And I say shame on you for not taking a stand against this communist agenda.
Would you like to comment at all? Thank you, Dr. Schoaf.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody coming out and sharing their view. I did want to listen because obviously your voice is heard here tonight. I think if there is a group that maybe Diana as president of the board and myself or others want to get together with some representatives, we'd be glad to talk and try to figure out the path forward. And I think that's really what we need to do.
Okay. Thank you.